Hey, welcome into our ensuite bathroom for our master bedroom, and today we are going to sort out a great big mess down here. So first let's talk about what we're looking at right now. So this is the cupboard which is underneath our sink in our bathroom, and what's happening is water has been running down the side here as it just spilled and splashed over the edge, and over time it's basically caused this piece of MDF underneath here to expand out. Now this is a space piece that I added in. It's made from an old kitchen door that has been sliced up, which had a gloss white finish to it, and so it matches in very well with the cupboard. And the reason for having that door is you can see just over here in the corner down here there is some pipework behind here, and so that pipework, the sizes of that and its positioning basically meant that this needed to be raised up a small amount. I think this is somewhere between 1.5 to 2 centimeters, something like that. So that's been raised up, but the water's come down, and I've made a few silly mistakes when I made this piece, and basically the water's been able to get in and it's done what MDF does and expanded out and gone a bit mouldy and stuff. It's also, I think, started to damage this bit of skirting board as well, which is also MDF as well. So the plan is that I'm going to basically try and take this piece out. I'll probably end up using my multi-tool to scribe some of that out and to cut through it and pull it away, and then cut a new piece and put it in place as well. Now the thing with this is I remember doing this, it was only about 4 or 5 years ago, and I think there's a few screws in here, probably 2 screws that go up from this piece into this piece, so I can't cut through those easily, so I need to get a magnet and just work out where those screws are, and then I should be able to cut around them and then take the MDF off around that. The other thing to point out as well is it doesn't show up very well on the camera here, but this flooring has a bit of a bubble in it, which is where the MDF has pushed this out as well. So I'm hoping that once this is out of the way, this flooring will then sit flat as well, and I might need to try and re-glue that back down again. Now I had a go at doing this on our other bathroom about 7 or 8 years ago now, and that's worked really well, and that was because it didn't make the silly mistakes I made on this time, and I will show you a picture of that in just a second. So here we are then, this is the other bathroom, and you can see that this is older, and it's not bubbled out at all along its length, and basically the reason for that is that this piece here is the very edge of the door, and so the plastic wraps all the way around the corner, and what I did in our bathroom was I basically used a complete straight slice out of the door, and so the water was able to get in much more easily. So what I'm going to do this time is I've got a new door which is the right size that I can cut the edge off as well, which will give us this lip around the edge, so that will sort it out. And then I also plan to run a bit of silicone beading across the top and then cake the bottom in just some ordinary white silicone as well, which I did with this, and that stops the water getting in from the bottom as well. So that's the plan, basically, to try and copy this, which is what I should have done when I put the bathroom in the first place. Right, strong magnet. I'm just going to find out where these screws are and try and mark it onto the board. Definitely something there. There might be something there, but I'm not sure it's picking something up from the floor. No, maybe not. Oh, yeah, definitely something there. Yeah, there. Right. Let's hope I only put 2 in and not 1 in the middle. Just not getting any sense of something in the middle though, so I'm guessing I probably didn't. Okay, right, fine. Time to cut through the sealant that's running on the bottom. I'll find my knife. Let's move it away. Right. This panel should just pull off. There we go. Right. Let's take this off now. Should have got a rubbish bag with me. Right, I've still got my mark. I got my mark down here somewhere. Right, time to get the multi-tool out.
Okay, editing Mark here. I've made a bit of a mistake here and recorded this in time lapse rather than just an ordinary video. And what I'm trying to say is that the corner of this sink is a little bit lower than it should be, and it needs to be raised up a bit. So I'm just about to adjust that using the feet on the cabinet.
Right, that's that done. So this corner is now just a little bit higher. We should just make getting that out a little bit easier because there's a little bit of creaking as it went up, which is probably what I wanted to hear. So that's good. So next step then, try and do a couple of near vertical, so diagonal cuts, I think, just to try and get out that bottom bit I've just chopped out. That's going to give me a bit more space to try and prise the rest of it out. Right, so let's just have a quick check at where we are. So this piece is still in place, but nice and loose. In fact, there we go, nice and easy. This bit has now pushed all the way in, so I should be able to get that out. And this bit here is looking pretty good. So I'm hoping a bit of tugging on here, we'll cut it here, and then we should be able to then get the rest of this out and attack that screw that's still in there. Okay, so I managed to get it out. Took a fair bit more cutting and a bit of argy-bargy and a bit of brute force and ignorance to get it out, but it's out. So now I've got a nice clean hole. Obviously a lot of mess on the outside that I need to sort out soon. You can see down here, there is one very rusty screw, just here. And this screw on this side, down here, you can see didn't poke through very far, so actually didn't really have too much of a problem getting that out. It kind of came out when I pushed it anyway. So the underside of the cabinet is in good condition, so no problems there. I might have just slightly nicked the flooring somewhere up here, much to my annoyance. I have to try and hide that somehow. But yeah, the flooring can now push back down again, which is great. And yeah, a bit of tidy up, get rid of this, and we can start cutting the bit of wood. Now, the one thing to talk about is, and you can probably see from this picture, the height here is very definitely not the same as the height here. And that's because this floor, it probably doesn't show up on the camera, has a very slight rise as you come into the room. And I think it's basically the joist that is just running along here. For some reason just isn't the right height or at the same position as the others. So there is just this dip down as you come out of the room. It's all structurally sound, the floor doesn't bounce or anything like that. I'm in a fairly modern house, so it's not too much of a problem, but yeah, there's not too much I can do about that apart from rebuilding the house. So that's going to stay as it is. I think actually over the length of it, from memory, it's about a centimetre difference from one end to the other. But I'll go and measure that one and double check it in a minute. So yeah, next job, tidy up, and then I'm on to cutting a fresh piece of wood. So one important thing to make sure I do is make sure I cut off of this end and not this end, because you can see here I've got holes for the door handles, so I don't want this end, I definitely want this end. I'm going to be using my straw bite waist side markers to measure this out, because it's the first time I've used those, so it might take a bit of time to get used to them. But yeah, time to cut it to the right size across there now. Okay, so here we go, all cut to size. I've got some raw edges. What I'm going to do is do a dry fit first. Once I've done that, I'm going to cake these in silicone, which I did in the other bathroom, and that's worked really well. So raw edge there, they will get covered, but hopefully you can see that profile edge just here is now rounded, so there's no seam there at all, and that's what's going to stop the water from getting in. So time for a dry fit. If that all goes okay, then I will silicone seal it, and then we'll get it fitted in permanently.
So here we go, all dry fit in place. It's not too bad. The sizing is great, really happy with that. I've got a bit of a gap up here, which is a little bit deliberate. I cut it just a millimetre or so, just a little bit too short, just so that I can then squeeze in some Broadfix packers. They're the sort of the packers that they used for UPVC windows. So I've got some of those. I can help pack out underneath, which will then push it up. There's also a bit of a gap here on the flooring as well. You can just see that there. Hopefully the silicone that I get to cover down here will sort that out. The other thing I need to do, so the more important one, is this pushes in. So that's no good. So I need to see how I can sort that one out. Maybe some strapping from the other side to keep it in place. But yeah, so far really happy with how it looks.
Okay, so here we go. Now rather covered in PVA, not PVA, in silicone. I made sure I get through all the really tight joints here as well. This is the side that's going to be facing out. This will all be nicely clean, so this is clear, but all the other sides, quite a lot of silicone on it. That should stop it from getting wet again and expanding again. I've got my Broadfix here, so now the plan is basically to try and fit this in, get it wedged up to the right height, and then we'll look at securing it from the back side.
So I'm pretty happy with that now. Decent gap here, decent gap here. This is now sitting back into the right place. Question what to do about this bit of skirting board here. Like the paint's peeling off a little bit, but I might just leave that and just scrape it and repaint it. Not entirely sure. Might need replacing. Anyway, what I need to do now is work on trying to secure this properly from the back. Having these wedges in has really helped. It's not really moving, but I'll try and strap it from the back. Now, what you can see from this side, hopefully here, is that the door that I've just cut is significantly wider than the original cabinet, and the faceplate that I've cut a little notch in that as well to make that sit and work. So if I were to strap it, I would try and get probably another Broadfix in here and strap it across the Broadfix, just so it then sits securely in there. So yeah, that's probably the next goal. Try and see if I can find a way of strapping it across and keeping it nice and secure. So this is what I mean. This is one of the grey colour ones. If I can sit that on top of there, hopefully you can see that is the right width. So if I was now to screw something across between the face of the Broadfix and the face of the bit down the bottom, see my fingers there we go. So across in that direction, I can then secure things in place.
So here we go then. Two bodged together bits of straps that I can use. So the idea is, this is one that's going to sit at the front. Broadfix is in place, and then we just screw in, and that should sort the problem out, hopefully. Yeah, just got to get it into place now, which is going to be a bit of a struggle. Got my driver. How hard can it be?
Well, this is an action shot, isn't it? Right, let's see how this goes. The biggest question is whether I can get my driver in.
Great start. Great start. Let's try that one again. So it turns out I had my driver going the wrong way around. So let's try it when it's in the right direction. Maybe I should just use a screwdriver. Right. So I feel like I need to pilot that, but I don't want to pilot it all the way through, which then leaves us in dodgy ground. I just had a realization. Right. Change of plan. Let me show you what I just worked out. So, change of plan then. This is the side of the cabinet. This is the bit that I've just put in. But if I put my block into here, this is just plasterboard. I can screw straight into that. That's going to be dead easy to do. So if I wedge my block against the side, let me show you. If I take my block and put it there, screw that in, that's going to stop that back bit from moving. It was the back bit that was moving the most. Oh, and the front's not going to move because of the board that's in the way. Oh, excellent. Right, big problem solved. Right. you know what, I'm pretty happy with that. I could try and get another few turns on that screw, but it's not really playing ball. Let's give it a go. I think that's about as good as I'm going to get. I'm pretty happy with that. The front is basically held in place. It was a bit of friction fit anyway in there, which is good, but also the front plate around here, which I'll show you in a second, holds that in place. The back is held in by that block that's screwed to the wall. It moves a little bit, but it's not too much to worry about. I mean, bearing in mind this isn't getting foot traffic on it, it's just in case somebody occasionally comes in and accidentally kicks it, it'll be absolutely fine. Or if the mop comes around or the hoover or something like that, that'll be absolutely fine, so no problem there. And just to show you what I mean, here we go. So there's a little step out that I cut out the other ear in this front plate, and this is going to hold this in place. So yeah, no big headaches there either. So quite happy with that. That's not going to move. Also the lino holds it in place as well, so that's not going to move. So job now then basically is a bit of tidying up, get some grey silicone along here, and see what we want to do about that skirting board. Okay, time to do some silicone sealing around the edge here. So this is going to be anthracite grey, I hope. Hopefully it matches with the flooring. I'm well prepared, I've done this a lot before, so I have a big roll of blue roll in case there's any accidents, a couple of bits already on standby, a plastic bag for rubbish. Let's open that up because this stuff just goes everywhere. Cleared some stuff out of the way. And I've also got my rubber finger for smoothing out the line as I go. Right, this is never a fun bit. It's not my favourite job doing this. So I'm just going to get over and done with. Right, on we go. Okay, so here we go. Wasn't the easiest silicone in the world, mainly because the flooring bumped up. When I took the tape off, you may have seen me then run the finger along again, and I've created this smear up the top. You can see this very thin line just at the top. So my plan is basically I'm going to let this dry, and then I should be able to come along just with my finger and just pull off that very thin line all the way along. I also want to run a bead inside of here as well, just to effectively seal those two pieces together. I can't really do that until this is all dry, because the tape is going to be too high basically. So I'm going to have to leave that for a while until this is dried. I'm not going to, because of the drying time as well, I'm not really going to be able to get through and sort this skirting board out today either. That's clearly going to need a bit of priming, maybe a bit of sealing first as well. And then yeah, repainting and sorting out. Everything else though, really pleased with, so I'm going to kind of call it a job finished today, because there's not too much more I can do until that silicone dries.